corporate debt people are concerned about. People are concerned about federal debt at $22 trillion. Should we reduce, let's just say, the federal debt, and how would we do that?
Well, if you're running a deficit getting close to 5% when things are really good, you know, that's a new world. And nobody's, neither the Republicans or Democrats are particularly concerned about it. And we're not having a lot of inflation. That wasn't supposed to happen, you know, but it's happening. That's why I say you don't want to get hung up on trying to make economic analysis, because you know, nobody's any good at, you don't get rich doing that. If you look at, you mentioned that Forbes list, if you get on the list, the number of people have done that by economic analysis, I think you're just about zilch on there.
Okay, fair enough. Income inequality, wealth inequality, you've talked about the earned income tax credit. Is there more to it than that? Should we adjust tax policy? It seems to be going the other way right now.
Well, it is going the other way, but I think the earned income tax credit is the best way to put money in the pockets of people that don't fit well into the market system, but that are perfectly decent citizens and that have made a good bit of the success somebody like I've had with Berkshire or something possible. It wouldn't have happened without the America we have. And if you go back 200 years, and we're all working on, 80% of us are working on farms. The person that's the best at that, working on that farm, whatever it may be, is worth maybe twice the one that's the worst. You know, I mean, that's the difference between super talent and no talent in the farm economy, picking cotton or whatever it may be. Now, if you're the best middleweight fighter in the world, you know, you may get $20 or $30 million, and if you are just a good citizen, raise nice kids, help in the neighborhood and everything else, but you don't have market-related skills, you'd be good on that farm still. And you would be earning something comparable to most of the people around you. But you don't have something now that, as it gets more and more specialized, and it's going to continue to get more specialized, you want two things for that person. You want them to have a decent life. I mean, they live in a country with 60,000 of GDP per person. You want them to have a decent life, and they can. I also think you want them to have a feeling of accomplishment. So you want them to have a job, assuming that they're not handicapped in some way. You want them to have a job. But the minimum wage would be one way to say, well, we'll make sure that they have enough money in their pocket. But that's got a lot of effects in disturbing the market system. They just need more cash. They don't need a higher wage. They need more cash in their pocket. And the government, at a relatively low cost, can provide a decent living for anybody that's working 40 hours a week and has a couple of children. And we've gone in that direction, and it's sort of bipartisan. I mean, you find both Republicans and Democrats for it. I think it would be better not to have one annual payment, you know, that they get it monthly. And I think there's various things you could do, but you want them to feel part of the system, and you want to have them get, as more and more of these golden eggs are laid, you want them to get a little more of their share.
I mean, if we don't do that and the Democrats win, it's possible we get, you know, big taxes on wealthy people, free college for all, and those are bigger plans.
You want more money in the pockets of everybody that's willing to work or is unable to work. And we can do it. A rich family would do that. You know, if I had 6 or 7 kids and I had some business I wanted to pass on, you know, you'd pick the most able person to run it because that's the market system to do that. But you'd make sure that all 7 of the family participated. You'd give more to the one that, you might give more to the one that kept producing the golden eggs. You would, but you wouldn't just say to the the one at the lowest end, who might be the best kid of all in most respects. You know, he's the one that shares with everybody and does all kinds of things. You know, and you wouldn't say to that him or her that, you know, too bad, but that's just the way the market system works. You know, that, go have your spouse get a job and, you know, and look for housing someplace.
Right. Why don't we do an update about the healthcare initiative, which now the company has a name.
Yeah,
Haven. Was that your idea?
No.
Sometimes
no, I didn't worry about a name. We could have gone on as a no-name operation for 10 years, as far as I'm concerned. No, that is, we got a wonderful partnership in the sense that it's large and has reasonable market muscle with more than 1 million employees among the three of us. We've got 3 CEOs that can make things get done in organizations that are so big that normally they would get very bureaucratic. If you tried to do this with many big companies, you'd have legal weighing in and public relations weighing in. We don't have any of that stuff. They may have them in certain areas, but I don't have to. But Jamie isn't going to worry about doing that sort of thing, and neither is Jeff. So we've got a unity of commitment and an ability to execute on the commitment. The only problem is you've got a $3.4 trillion industry, which is as much as the federal government raises every year, that basically feels pretty good about the system. As we went around talking to people to find a leader for the group, for example, everybody says, the system, it turns out very good medicine, but you can't go from 5% of GDP to 18, without really making you less competitive, among other things in the world. So everybody thought the system needed some adjustment, just not their part of the system, and that's very human. I'd do the same thing, I'm sure, if I was in the same place. So there's an enormous resistance to change, while a similar acknowledgement that change will be needed. And of course, if the private sector doesn't supply that over a period of time, people will say then, we give up, we got to turn this over to government, which will probably be even worse.
How often do you talk to Jamie and Jeff about it? I know Todd Combs, I think, is your point person.
Todd really does all the work at our budget. If this works, give Todd 100% of the credit from the Berkshire standpoint.
Does Haven have to buy companies to gain expertise? And what do you?
No, no, I don't.
What is the plan? I mean, how do you?
The plan is to support a very, very, very good thinker on this subject is a practicing physician and who commands the respect of the medical community to, in effect, figure out some way so that we can deliver even better care and have people feel better about their care too. I mean, they have to perceive that they're receiving better care over time and stop the march upward of cost relative to the country's output. We've got this incredible economic machine, but we shouldn't be spending 18% when other countries are doing something pretty comparable in terms of doctors per capita, hospital beds per capita, and all that. The very top stuff in medicine, I think, is very much concentrated in this country, and that's great. I want us to be the leader, but I just don't. I think we're paying a price. If we're paying 7 extra points of GDP, that's 1.4 trillion a year.
Is the administration focusing on drug prices? Is that sort of a rabbit hole? Is that missing the bigger picture?
I mean, they're trying, and Congress generally. I mean, if you talk to the average congressman, they regard it as a problem, and they see specific instances, of drug prices or something like that. But it's a big problem to change. I mean, the trouble is it intersects in so many ways, and that's why we've got Gawande heading it, and we've got 3 big-sized organizations backing him. We're not trying to do it to make money. I mean, that is not a goal that we end up with some business that we make money off of.
And will he be talking to health insurers, for instance?
Well, he'll be talking to everybody, but it is his game plan is not something we're going to try and lay out because it's in his head to some degree. I mean, obviously we selected him by hearing and reading and so on what he's done, but he'll learn as we go. We will conduct certain experiments, or he will, and try out a community where one of us has a lot of employees, maybe, and there's various ways to experiment.